All right, guys, we are back for a training video this month. Freckles is going to help me out with this first part of the video. We're talking about not over tightening our girths and our cinches or tightening them too quickly. This can lead to some fear and some discomfort in our horses. So we really want to talk about that with you guys this month. So I want you to take a second and put yourself in your horse's horseshoes. Think about getting up in the morning and having somebody tighten a belt really tight over you. Now multiply that over a couple of times a day, several days a week, and it's probably not going to put you in the best of moods. So we really want to make sure you guys can do this gently with our horses to keep them safe and happy. So I just want to remind you guys that we have girth. This refers to anything going with an English saddle. And then in the Western world, we call it a cinch. You will hear instructors refer to these terms interchangeably. Most of the time we do say girth, but I'm going to try to use the correct terms today. All right, so we have Freckles tacked up in his English saddle today. Before we tighten the girth, I'm going to use this as a quick reminder for you guys to tent up the saddle pad before we go to tighten the girth. So just remember the horse's withers here. It's kind of a sensitive area. If you guys remember from last fall, Freckles had a few instances in the cross ties, and that was because we were tightening the girth too quickly and we didn't tent up the saddle pad, so it put a lot of pressure on his withers here. So just remember to pull up the front of the saddle pad into that free space on the saddle here. And then when you grab the girth, I'm going to demonstrate how to gently and gradually pull the girth tight versus yanking it, okay? So you're going to pull upward nice and slow until you get it to the appropriate hole. And a good way to test this and just make sure it's tight enough that the saddle's not going to slip off is to just put your hand in between the horse's body and the girth. You should be able to fit your hand in there, okay? If you can't, that means it's too tight. Just remember to check that down near the back of the horse's front legs. That the horse is shaped like an egg, so that is going to be the furthest spot there and where the most pressure is going to be, okay? I am going to demonstrate the yanking, okay? And hopefully Freckles isn't too mad at me for doing that today. But a yank would look more like this. Pulling it up as tight as you can. And you can see I probably got 2 extra holes after yanking it tight like that, okay? So here I go again, pulling it as tight as you can. You know, that again is just leading to some unnecessary pressure and can lead to some pinching and pain for Freckles here, okay? So now I'm going to show you how to do this on a Western saddle. Okay, so now we have Freckles tacked up in his Western saddle. Again, we want to remind you to tent up the saddle pad before you tighten the cinch. So we're just going to lift up the pad. So you should be able to fit a few fingers between the horse's saddle pad and their body. All right, when you go to tighten the cinch, it's even more important to do this nice and slow and gradually. When you wrap your latigo around, it's essentially creating a pulley system, which is just multiplying your strength. So we do see cinches kind of over tightened more often. So let's make sure we're nice and careful, okay? So I've got my latigo wrapped through and I'm just going to gently pull. Okay, and you can see I don't have enough room to make a cinch knot yet, and that is totally okay. As long as you can get to a hole, you can put the little prong right through the hole, and then you can leave that there for the instructors to tighten, and then they will make the cinch knot from there, okay? Please remember that instructors will always do safety checks before the riders get on, so there's no need to over tighten the girth or the cinch back here in the barn. We're going to check it and tighten it probably 2 more times before the rider gets on and after the rider gets on, okay? So I just want to demonstrate what that yanking would look like. Again, I'm sorry, Freckles. So I've got it a little bit looser here, and so if you go to yank it up, it's volunteers doing quick pulls like this, which is not very comfortable for your horse, okay? Again, put yourself in your horse's horseshoes. One little tip I can give you guys is if you do feel like maybe you have been over tightening, I can give you a tip. Try using just one hand, okay? Instead of using two hands and using all of your strength to get it as tight as you can, try to use just one hand, okay? You may need to use that second hand to help with your buckles, but try to just use one hand for that pulling, okay? We hope this is helpful for you guys. We can be helpful in any way. Just let us know. We can give you a hand. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it so much.